the only hope, I don't know whether you saw this, you probably have seen this, or just play this clip with Jeffrey Sachs, who is Jewish and someone that I look up to and followed his work. Let's listen to what he had to say, because Trump apparently posted this 2 days ago.
The war in Syria, and you may actually hear from grown-up reporters who are lying through their teeth or ignorant beyond imagining that, oh, the war in Syria, yes, Russia intervened in Syria. Well, do you know that that Obama tasked the CIA to overthrow the Syrian government, starting 4 years before Russia intervened? What kind of nonsense is that? And how many times did the New York Times report on Operation Timber Sycamore, which was the presidential order to the CIA to overthrow Bashar al-Assad? 3 times in 10 years. This is not democracy. This is a game. And it's a game of narrative. Why did the U.S. invade Iraq in 2003? Well, first of all, it was completely phony pretenses. It wasn't, oh, we were so wrong, they didn't have weapons of mass destruction. They actually did focus groups in the fall of 2002 to find out what would sell that war to the American people. Abe Schultzke, if you want to know the name of the PR genius. They did focus groups on the war. They wanted the war all the time. They had to figure out how to sell the war to the American people, how to scare the shit out of the American people. It was a phony war. Where did that war come from? You know what? It's quite surprising. That war came from Netanyahu, actually. You know that? It's weird. And the way it is that Netanyahu had from 1995 onward the theory that the only way we're going to get rid of Hamas and Hezbollah is by toppling the governments that support them. That's Iraq, Syria, and Iran. And the guy's nothing if not obsessive. And he's still trying to get us to fight Iran this day, this week. He's a deep, dark son of a bitch, sorry to tell you, because he's gotten us into endless wars, and because of the power of all of this in the U.S. politics, he's gotten his way. But that war was totally phony. So what is this democracy versus dictatorship? Come on. These are not even sensible terms.
So there you have. That was very interesting, because a lot of us were probably, like yourself, starting to think, well, is Trump... The question I have for 2025 is, will Trump own Israel's ass or Israel own Trump's ass? And I think that's a question a lot of people, because you've got some people on the right that I say that they fooled the left to stand with Ukraine, which I believe the globalist cabal obviously is part of, taking over Ukraine, Soros and co. And we know that woke agenda and what they want to do there with the one world vision. So they fooled the left to stand with Ukraine, but then the right, who were smart enough to wake up to the COVID fraud, half of them seem to then fall for stand with Israel. And you see a lot of Americans that still say, I stand with Israel. And I find it very concerning as an outsider, because Israel is just another cabal, the Zionist cabal, which they seem to be fighting with each other, the right and left factions, and whether the Rothschilds and co still control both sides, who knows? But this seems what's be going on. So I guess the question is, do you think Trump, if that's true, I believe it is true that he did post that, he clearly knows Netanyahu is, son of a bitch that's causing wars for Americans to fight. Do you think he's going to do something about this?
Well, the Heritage Foundation, they had put out a big memo, and it was essentially how we can quell anti-Semitism. There's a lot of that going on now. People are trying to get bills passed. And in one section of this article that they wrote, they were like, well, this will all work, and we will instate our plan when we have a willing administration in. I think another telling thing is the fact that the media, big media outlets, have started coming out in support of Trump. And the media outlets, we know who owns the media. It's this Jewish cabal as well. So when they decide that they're going to start backing Trump, that only makes you think, well, they're only backing him because they think it's in their best interest, and the left is more pro-Palestine, more anti that. So it kind of makes me a little bit nervous that maybe the willing administration that the Heritage Foundation is, which is, also has Jewish backers and is supposedly a conservative publication or think tank. That's concerning to me that, the big time media companies, they're backing him. Silicon Valley's now backing him as well. And we know where their backers are. So I think the fact his supporters are telling of where they think he's going to stand, you know, and he's always been very pro Israel, and that's worked for him up until now because, you know, this is a Christian country predominantly, and Christians have been kind of fooled into this whole, you know, that we have to support Israel blindly. And I don't think, and I think that's because of infiltration of like the seminaries and you know, the Christian churches in general have been indoctrinated with this. So I think that's why the support has been fine. After October 7th, though, a lot of people started waking up. You know, Israel's just blocked what was it, the UN or whatever. They were wanting to do an investigation into some of Hamas's attacks, but Israel blocked that because they didn't want them to investigate maybe the way they were treating Palestinian prisoners. So yeah, it's not looking good. I think Trump is kind of going to be used as a puppet for them. There's been deals behind closed doors because these kind of people would not be backing Trump if he was not going to go against the Zionist agenda.
Yeah, it's certainly very interesting. I guess he's in a difficult position. You know, even
Right.
you know, like I did give the benefit of doubt to Elon Musk, but it starts to appear that you know he has obviously a very close relationship, it appears, with Netanyahu, who is a war criminal.
Yep.
I mean, why would you want to have relationships? I mean, maybe the power that whoever Netanyahu answers to, which is probably still the Rothschilds, I'd assume, is immense. That some of these people are owned, whether they like it or not. Obviously, I think it's obviously people go, well, we've got the choice between the woke agenda and the right, even if it's a Zionist agenda, you know, it seems to be better that way. But do we have to choose either? I mean, and I suggested the other day on a video that the third choice is that maybe the BRICS is a third alternative. Because there's people, the BRICS, you know, which is being led predominantly by Putin and Russia is, as you know, an Orthodox Christian nation. And even though in the West we're told to vomit at the idea that Putin is a good leader, but the reality is I think Putin is articulate and intelligent and probably one of the few adults in the room. And he's leading a very strong nation which won't lose against Ukraine. They can't afford to lose, and they won't. So they're going to become a major force in the world, and they're heading up BRICS. And BRICS is all about, as you know, a multipolar world. Not this one world agenda where they want to destroy nationalism. It's about having strong nationalism. And then Trump is a nationalist if he's let be that. So the question I guess I have, what I find disconcerting in America is the Christian Zionism. And you see it on Twitter. I mean, I'm shadow banned and many are if you're too critical of Israel. But if you go into combat effectively on Twitter with some of these Americans that support most of the things that we would support as far as free speech and anti-immigration and low debt and fiscal management and, you know, make America great again, but they still stand with Israel and the idea of not comprehending that Israel might be evil or Israel's not doing the right thing. Seems like some of them are so deeply programmed they may never change. And I think that's a big problem for America.